Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the preeminent podcast about saucy opinions on Final Fantasy games.
Yes, I've been watching some videos today.
I've been watching some videos today. My name is Brad, and this is Raw Dogs, part of Hair the Dogcast, part of your favorite podcasts on your apps.
It's true.
It's true.
I'm Dylan, and I'm still looking for the mystery flavored Flamin' Hot Doritos. If anyone wants to tell me where I can find some of these.
So there's a mystery flavor Dorito, you're saying?
Mystery Flamin' Hot flavor.
Okay.
So it's Flamin' Hot paired with something.
Whoa.
I have not yet sampled this.
This is a serious thing.
It's been very frustrating because they told me it was at Walmart. And when I go to Walmart, there's nothing fucking there.
That's not acceptable.
It's pretty unacceptable. But I'll tell you what, there's a new flavor that's like mango and something. It's like a Baja themed one. And I'm like, why would I want mango flavored chips? It sucks ass.
Well, mango I like in cocktails. I like in some things.
I like eating mangoes.
Speaking of alcohol, you brought a delicious beverage for us today.
Sure did.
What do we got, Dylan?
Summer Nights by Central Waters Brewing. It is a wheat ale brewed with peaches and black tea.
That is a nice beer. I like beers
It's
that
a little farty.
Well, I like beers that feature tea.
I do too.
It really changes the whole dynamic of drinking it, though. It doesn't taste like a beer at all.
I like the OG. That's maybe my favorite.
And it's a boozy one, too.
Oh, that's heavy, though, yeah.
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 That's okay, though.
There's a reason they come in 4-packs.
Summer Nights just makes me think of Grease, which I don't think it's trying to reference Grease, but everything reminds me of Grease these days.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Did she put up a fight?
Oh.
Ooh. Yes, everybody. Today we are continuing our discussion of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got through on the last episode. We got through all the generalities, pretty much.
The mechanics,
the gameplay,
the general story of the idea of what they're trying to accomplish.
We talked about the lovable Zack Fair.
The Zack Fair levels, yeah.
Yes, and we got through Chapter 1, so actually we're kind of in the game proper now. There will be a lot of discussions about mini games, and we'll cover the plot to whatever extent we feel like it today. But yeah, spoilers or whatever. So Chapter 2, a new journey begins. We are now in Kalm, and we did all the flashback stuff. Right away in the morning, we're given a pouch containing Queen's Blood cards.
Yeah.
And it says that it's from like the hotel guy. We find out much later in the game it's actually not from him. Not from Broden. I think it's from that girl with the horrible haircut. The Queen's Blood lady. Well, we'll get to her later.
The poorly designed character.
Oh, man. It's just probably the worst haircut I've seen. And I've played all the Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah. I don't know. You partook in Queen's Blood. You liked it?
Initially, I was very into it.
Yeah.
And later on, it did seem less interesting the longer I played it.
I read the writing on the wall with this thing, and it's not the reason I'm playing this. And I like those side things in other games, but this one just felt, and it's a good game. I've got to be clear. I've played it.
Yeah.
It's just I didn't have a lot of desire to keep going back into it because who cares?
But to me, it's like surface level. The game was fun, but once they started adding all those weird abilities, it became a lot less interesting to me. There was just like way too many weird out there things that could like change the entire playing field, and I didn't feel like things were explained properly. And I mean, I don't know. The game, it should have a more simple overall approach to it and a little bit more ubiquity. And to me, it was like there were so many situations later on where you had to do things a very certain way. It was about there's like one strategy or only a couple ways to get through something instead of I can use my deck and just be smart about it.
Yeah, there are a few times where they're basically just thought puzzles.
Especially when you get later on to like Costa del Sol and in Gold Saucer. Those are strictly like there's two ways, one way to do this, and it's not about
strategy and building your own.
It's about going to Google and saying, all right, I don't fucking care. Just how does this work?
Yeah.
Which I did on a number of mini games here.
Sure did.
But Queen's Blood is like I'd say the big mini game.
Yeah.
For Rebirth, and
it's the game hidden in the game. I would call it padding, but
I did like the underlying story, though. The fact that something was, I don't know if I liked it. It was interesting.
I don't know anything about this.
It had, the more you played it, eventually you start getting these visions of tortured people saying, like, don't keep playing the cards. The queen is coming, and there is. And we'll talk about it when we get to those later chapters, but there is kind of like almost an Inscription weird underlying game happening there, underlining story.
Yeah. I mean, okay. My curiosity is piqued, but it's piqued at maybe underwhelming on the scale.
I thought the story wound up being more interesting than the game. The game I was really into for the first 4 or 5 chapters, and eventually it was a chore.
Let's get on with the party kind of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. This game is super generous and it's open world nature, but at some point it is at the cost of pacing and my abilities to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Something else is introduced very quickly here about the relationship system.
Yeah.
So you go outside and you learn that when you're in certain areas, characters will have emojis over their heads. Which I don't like. I don't need emojis in my otherwise beautiful game. Everything is gorgeous to look at, and then all of a sudden I have to look at a smiley face over Barrett. I'm like, Barrett. I know Barrett and me love each other. Like I don't need an emoji. Yeah.
Well, you gain those affinities by using the characters together in the field, also answering questions correctly. It's kind of an outdated idea.
Yep. Well, and I wish it was obvious because Tifa will say, what does this remind you of? And all 3 answers, like, I don't know which one's the nice one, which one's the...
Well, we know which one's the bad one. There's always one that's super, like, flagrantly, like, fuck off.
Yeah. And but like, there's a number of other ones where I didn't feel like I didn't feel like,
yep, I know.
And I want to be nice, but I don't know. To me, it wasn't apparent enough. So before those situations happened, I would just go to Google and I'd be like, I just want to make sure to get everyone's nice answers. And I was mean to Aerith once because I wanted to make sure Tifa went on the date with me.
Oh.
I had to be mean to Aerith once and she was a little offended. I'm like, oh.
I don't know what you want from me, lady.
She came up, she's like, oh, you're looking through Tifa's window? I was like, back the fuck off. I mean...
I'm an Aerith guy.
Oh, really? I'm surprised.
I always have been.
Back in the day was one thing, but I don't know. She's so like milquetoast and Zoe Deschanel about stuff that I find it cloying.
Well, here's the other thing too. They really bimbo her up in this, like, big time. They make her kind of dumber, a little like unaware of things. I'm like, she knows what's going on. She's from a different world.
Yeah.
Like, she wouldn't be this dumb. In the original story, she was a little like flighty, but I considered her writing like she was an adventurous, like kind, like straightforward person.
Yeah. She's just the quirky girl, and a younger Brad would have been like cool, but now I'm like, I don't want to watch Garden State.
Tifa's just always so sad. I couldn't really deal.
She's got a little depressed to her as well. Yuffie is underage.
Yes.
Endearing. I like her spirit. And I mean, you probably didn't watch the other dates?
I watched Yuffie's, but I was like, okay, well.
The one with Barrett's really good. He actually just starts talking about his wife and gives you life advice. I'm like, if you see a good girl, you just got to go for it, man. Life's too short. I'm like, thanks, dude.
Shit.
We should hang out more often.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the dates later. There's another date you can get that is with Vincent, Sid, and Kate Sith.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
And you have to suck at everything else to get them. Yeah, I just didn't. The relationship system, you mentioned it. Specific story missions, side quests, dialogue choices. you synergy skills, and it's to me just kind of an opaque system, and I'd rather have something a little more clear. Or
well, there's no meter. It's literally the face changes.
And there is a meter after you beat the game. And then it's hidden back in there.
I don't like, the only time hidden systems work is when you're doing something that is truly a role-playing game. Like if you're like a blank slate character, but when you're trying to tell an actual story that has like a prescribed beginning and end, because let's be clear, in the next game, none of that shit's going to transfer over. We're not going to have the same affinities we had with these characters.
Yeah.
So what's the point in building this up? Because we know what the beginning and end point is.
It's all for the date system. And
I couldn't give a single shit.
To me, there could just be, I wouldn't mind it to be simpler. There should just be a moment where the party splits up. It's like, who do you want to talk to first? And that should just kind of define it. Or who do you bring with you more often? Or you can choose, like, whose room do you want to go visit tonight? And then you can bring them out on the date. That would be so much simpler for me. Instead, there's like this weird pressure that before I get into situations, anything that makes me go to the internet to make sure I'm not fucking something up in a game, I find very annoying. Yes. I have zero patience. And the days of strategy guides being required for video games are gone. I should never need to go to a guide to figure out how to do something in a game. But it's vestigial. It's something that, even though it's outdated, still needs to exist in games, unfortunately.
I don't think it does, though.
Well, I don't think it needs to, but according to like studios, or they think it needs to.
Yeah. Well, that brings me back to my main problem with this game and these remakes in general, is that there's a lot of fluff. There's just a lot of vestigial parts hanging off of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it sticks. It's just like, I mean, like, oh, do you like this? Oh, but wait, check this thing out. Like, at what point are you just like, well, fuck, can I just play what you want me to play?
It's sometimes I eat too much at a buffet.
Yeah. And then
actually, every time I eat too much,
for some reason, you put a bunch of rice on the plate. Why are you getting rice at a buffet?
Yeah,
it's like that's filler.
Yeah,
it's like you got to get the steak. You're at the Golden Corral, for fuck's sake.
I was right when you get to go exploring around Kalm.
Yeah,
you get a good sense of the scale of what, like, just because Kalm is a blip in the PS1 game.
It's basically a town square.
It's a town square. There's like 4 or 5 buildings you can go into, and to just see the scope and the scale of it's multi-leveled. There's tons of people everywhere talking, and this is also one of the, I love sound design in games, and it's so bad.
Yeah.
If you have 5.1 and you walk through a village, it's just you're getting bombarded with a million people whose volumes are all over the place. And
it's not based on proximity?
Well, it is based on proximity, but not in a way that is pleasing to the ear. They just think that when you're close to anyone, it needs to... It's just like... It's a cacophony. It's fucking so many things.
Yeah, no thanks.
But you're forced to check out the weapon shop and Magnata Books. Magnata Books is this half-baked concept that...
Yeah,
I don't know why I can't just deal with my player's abilities, my character's abilities in the menu. It seems, or if I need to go to your vending machines, buy a bench, sure. But that whole system just seems funny to me.
It's odd. I think modern game design it tries to fool the player into thinking that they're doing something more important than they actually are. By giving it like specific areas you can do it, kind of gives it more prestige, I guess, mentally. Psychologically.
I want to check out Red 13's I got a new folio. I got to go to a bench. Just let me do it.
Just why not?
I don't know.
Sphere grid that shit.
Sphere grid it.
Yeah.
It somehow worked in every other game that didn't make me go somewhere specifically.
Also, I do still have complaints with the way that the branching of the skills and abilities worked.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't really make sense at all. Like, it kind of felt like I was doing a guessing game every time I did it. Like, you can look at the abilities you get later, but they don't tell you what those things are.
What I wound up doing initially is I wanted to get all of the just elemental abilities for everybody.
Important.
Synergies. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I mean, some characters get like plus 200 HP or increased attack. Like all of Kate Sith's is like plus 100 luck, plus 100 luck. And I was like, crazy.
Yeah. I had a lot of shit stacked on Kate Sith.
Yeah.
Because I used him a shitload. He was in the final battle with me. So, you know.
Unfortunately.
No, it's great.
I don't understand him yet. I'm going to mention all the bars that I ran into and remember. The Rusty Arrow is the name of the bar in Kalm.
Okay. This is a cool segment.
I don't like, though, that all over the universe is like best beer sold here posters, and it shows a tap. There's not a single tap beer in any bar. I looked at every bar. There's not a single tap handle.
Only you. Only you, man.
Well, if they put those posters up for, like, they show a beautiful beer coming out of a tap, I expect the bar to have a tap beer.
True.
You can also see there are various wine posters, and there are certain cocktails at certain bars. And it's crazy because some of them just have these little posters and they're like squiggles, but if you look at them, you can kind of read what they're saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I never even tried.
At the bars, I went out of the way to look at them, but.
I mean, it's good attention to set dressing.
Aerith asks you to go on a date at the clock tower, and then Shinra arrives to fuck you up.
Right.
This is a annoying segment where I have to walk around on rafters to avoid getting caught. Again, just seems like perfunctory, something we got to do. Broden gives us an item transmuter, which is going to be something we'll fuck around with throughout the entire game.
I like the item transmuter a little.
It's all right, and but essentially, Shinra chases us out of Kalm, and that leads us to our first open world area, the Grasslands.
Kalm made me nervous.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh shit, is this going to be hyper linear? Like this whole thing again?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to push me down hallways? And then the moment I got out into Kalm, I was out of Kalm just to the Grasslands. I was like, oh, fuck. Like I was kind of overwhelmed. I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
They Ubisoft it, but better.
Yeah. So it is jarring. Because this didn't exist in Remake at all.
No.
This is 100% like what this game's shining world design is about to me. Mm-hmm. Those big open world areas, and we're not going to go through all of the areas beat by beat or anything, but I did want to just kind of touch on what you're going to do in these areas. So. There's Remna Wave Towers. These are known as the Eagle's Nests in Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm. You get a lot of Moogle medals by smashing boxes.
Which is, sure. Need them. Moogles, and then, the Moogle Mog stools. Mm-hmm. The Mog stools are going to be out there. But essentially, Remna Wave Towers, they fucking shoot some beacons out and tell you where nearby things are.
All for Chadley.
Chadley has arrived again, and I'm a Chadley. I think it's Chadley Domo is what we decided.
Chadley Domo.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, and we get introduced to Mai because for some reason we need female Chadley.
What was her inclusion benefiting?
Cosplayers.
Fine. It's whatever. Like,
let's just say that you were really like sexually attracted to Chadley, but you prefer women.
Wow, it's almost as if the step was already there. If you were attracted to Chadley, it means something already inherently.
Yeah, they won't shut up though.
No,
everywhere you go, cloud, cloud.
Oh, I hate it.
It's
you can't really skip it either.
It's a little grating. I mean, and when I say a little, I mean it's really fucking grating.
When they explain for the third time something you've figured out pretty quickly, kill the monster in a very specific way.
Well, and like, it's one thing if they were super helpful about stuff, but like there are tougher versions of monsters that you find, and then you'll have certain checklists. You want to get like stagger them, pressure them, or this or that.
Yeah.
And the entire time Mai starts talking, and I'm like, I'm not going to wait to do this battle and listen to you.
No.
So she talks over the whole battle. I can't hear her.
No.
And essentially I'm just going to assess the monster anyways. And it says, all right, just use fire.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, careful. These ones are dangerous. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, you can't fucking fool me.
Mai, you're out of your fucking element.
Are you out here doing this? No.
And even Chadley hates Mai. And I'm like, Chadley's getting a taste of his own medicine.
I wonder if this is somehow like a cultural thing, because slice of life is a very important aspect in like Japanese storytelling, where the quiet moments or like character interactions are usually built on like stereotypes. I don't know why she was introduced. I have. There's no reason it couldn't have just been Chadley.
Well, and I think she's just AI, whereas Chadley is a physical android that wanders around, which we find out he's number 7. He's the 7th Chadley.
Whoa.
Yep. Chadley 7 Rebirth is coming soon.
Why'd they make him look like a child?
Hojo made him, so I think Hojo just got some weird fetishes.
Oh, he's a pervert.
I'm going to make that tiger thing fuck that girl.
Oh, yeah. Hot.
Great, Hojo. You're a scientist.
Great.
There are Lifespring intels, which teach you about the locations. Essentially going to go there.
I like it.
To me, it reminded me of the banana birds in Donkey Kong Country 3 a little bit, where you have to, well, there's a Lifespring intel, which you have to just like time the fucking expanding circles.
It's the same each time though.
And then the Divine intel is the one where you have to hit certain button combinations at a certain time.
I liked those.
And that was probably one of my preferred parts of exploring, because it does teach you about the environment you're in, and it's also getting you closer to the summon.
Yeah.
Because every region has a summon, and it's going to start off very hard, and then the more divine intels you find, the easier it gets.
And you can challenge yourself by not doing that, and you can get it right away, but odds are you're going to go straight to those.
Well, and it's weird that Chadley's just able to recreate summons in a digital environment.
It's kind of insane, yeah.
It's kind of insane.
Now, it ties in because these are like elemental gods, essentially. And then they take a part of their life essence from the life stream and then put them in the materia. Is that why they're showing up?
Sure. That sounds good.
I think that's a fine explanation. This is the shit I think about, because it's not like you're carrying a god around in your pocket. It's just an aspect of the god.
Yeah, and these are real gods that existed, that formed, like they were involved in the creation of these regions long, long ago. Yeah. Alexander looks like a building and does judgment on people. Sure.
Probably my favorite summon.
He's cool. I liked Odin a lot too.
Odin rips.
Odin's very specific.
Yes.
Then there are chocobo stops. Baby chocobo's cute. We get it.
I love that baby chocobo.
And the first time I found out you can pet him after, I'm like, that's a good thing.
Yes. It's important to me.
It's very important. You don't see any teenage chocobos, though. You see baby chocobo or adult chocobo.
They disappear like Jesus.
They don't want to have to deal with how they grow.
Yeah.
Yep. They just go Jesus for their 20s, and then they come back and jump on a cross for you.
These chocobos need to make a lot of mistakes before they can be an adult.
Yep. Did a lot of drugs, but I'm back.
They have to choose which chocobo they want to be.
Yeah.
Do they want to glide well?
All I know is that
do they want to be faster?
There are almost zero pictures of my parents in their 20s. What were they up to? We don't know.
Shit.
Yeah.
Is that true?
There's a couple, but there's not many.
Probably a lot of bad mustaches and hair.
My dad had an afro. It was amazing.
Really? Why can't you grow
he got a perm.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Ward. There are proto-relics, which are, I think, the most unique missions in every region.
Yes, they are. To their detriment.
Some are good, some are bad.
I like some of them.
Some are mini-game contingent. And
no thanks.
Those are bad.
No, I hate those mini games. That's why I stopped doing it. If your game actively turns me off, you've got a bit of a problem.
And I'll fuck with Fort Condor for a couple rounds.
Well, who play tested these? Was this like a last minute thing?
Well, I will say whoever play tested these did better than the ones that play tested Ayuden Chronicle, because those mini games are brutal.
Really?
Yep. Some of they're all at least pretty to look at. In Rebirth, most are pretty horribly unbalanced.
Oh,
and again, a lot of the mini games, the Proto Relics ones, it's like it's not designed for you to think on the fly and make strategic decisions. It's designed by there's only a few ways to do this and to succeed. And if you don't do it that way, you're fucked. And it's contingent on knowing the way to do it instead of just thinking through a problem and being a gamer.
Well, they really throw you in there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room for like self-expression, I guess, through the game. That's a thing I keep bumping into in this game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of ways to, like, aside from the materia system, there's not a lot of ways to make this game like more about you, which is also something I really value and something that is ostensibly a role-playing game.
The combat lets you express yourself a lot more.
Yes.
Because you do, like, just the materia, the depth of possibilities, it's really great. And there's just so many different approaches combat-wise, and I like that. But when it comes to the mini games, I feel like more isn't always better. On the surface level, people see 40 mini games or whatever, and they're like, awesome. They don't realize it's bad. Give me Final Fantasy VIII. Just give me a triple triad and maybe 2 other mini games.
Sure.
Perfection.
I think
10, Final Fantasy X, Sphere Grid. I don't need chocobo racing. I don't need butterfly catcher. I just want Blitzball.
so. One of the things that I've found is that a lot of the developers on this are also people who've worked on 14,
13 too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them on 14, huh?
Well, MMOs are full of dumb, inane tasks because you have to pad out this. Well, you have to pad out this world, and then you have to enter battles and hit every single one of your, like your attacks as they're recharging, and you got to do it in the right order. Otherwise, you're fucking around. But there is generally a way that you should be going about it. You can fuck around, but people yell at you if they're like, "Oh, you didn't heal right at this time." I'm like, "Oh, fuck off." But
you're supposed to heal now, and you're supposed to be the tank, and you were not doing what
you weren't
I
pulling
wanted
enough
you to.
aggro. But I think a lot of people like that stuff because it does draw them into the world. But when I'm picking mushrooms, I'm like, I don't need busy work in a game where I slash things.
No, and generally, the side quests that you find in these areas, I find to be innocuous, mostly harmless. They're fine, busy work. None of them are too offensive, but it's the mini games. Anything that it starts involving a mini game, it's not additive, and it's in fact disrupting my enjoyment of the game,
thereby being subtractive.
Yeah. Speaking of additive, one of the side quests features probably our favorite character in the Final Fantasy VII connected universe, Kyrie. Nomura, he's generally, despite being annoying, he knows how to design a character.
Yeah, but this
Kyrie looks like all of the rejected aspects of every character he's ever designed thrown onto one person.
It literally looks like one of the main characters from The World Ends With You, just kind of copy-paste.
That's supposed to be a good game, right?
I like that game a lot.
Okay.
I think it's a very good game. It's not as good as having it on a DS where it actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because the Switch version is fine, but you need to be like, you need the motion control if you really want it to work. And sometimes it just doesn't.
You know what's great is that literally every character that had a first name and a unique design in Remake, for some reason, has left Midgar, and they're like, oh no, we're on vacation now, or this is our annual retreat for weightlifting out here.
It feels like a pet project thing. Someone really got into it. Someone had maybe was horny for Kyrie.
Well, and there's horny for Kyrie, but then there's also like we had to bring back all of the new characters from Wall Market. We need to bring back the weightlifters. We need to bring back Madam M, and it's enough to just reference them in conversation. At one point, Aerith calls out for like, oh, 5,000. That's how much it costs to get a handy for Madam M. She doesn't say it like that, but T was like, what? Cloud's like, let's go. That's great. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Reference it and a throwaway line. But the fact that every character like Leslie, the beloved Leslie from Wall Market, who betrayed Don Corneo because he's looking for his girlfriend who was captured. I'm like,
wasn't it his sister?
No, it's his. But you see,
so memorable. It's so memorable.
Leslie, the beloved Leslie. I'm like, it just feels so forced and non-organic.
Also, you didn't need to explain something that's already been told before. We don't need a character to help push the plot.
No, I mean,
because it seemed to be happening all on its own in the first one.
It seemed like I was just already invested in the plot, and I didn't need. Turns
out,
Mai, hello. You're going to talk to me the whole game, aren't you, Mai? Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the proto relics for Grasslands involves Beck's badasses, which I find those characters actually enduring. I don't think you liked him as much.
No.
A dumb criminal is always funny to me, and this one. The proto-relics are essentially all pieces of Gilgamesh's armor scattered, and you need to collect them all. Gilgamesh is amazing in this game.
I wish I even had, like, at a certain point, so here's the thing. I didn't think this game was going to be this long.
It's very long, very long.
And that might be the actual issue I have with the whole damn thing is that at a certain point, I'm like, oh, we're going to this point in the story. Are they really going to make all these areas so large? Yeah, they are. And I had to like pick and choose because I didn't want to get burnt out before the end. A lot of RPGs, I get to like the final dungeon and I'm just like, I'll put this aside for right now because I don't want the fun to be over. Or simultaneously, I'm like, I don't know how to process this not, like the thing I've been doing for the past several weeks just disappearing. So I don't know. I feel like the fatigue was right on the edge with this one.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It wasn't like too extreme, but I found myself like, I'm like, you know what? I could do all this, or I could just go to the Temple of the Ancients.
There's something that just, it feels unfulfilling knowing there's so many things out there. It's like, well, I can't skip it. And then I just get in this, I have to do it mindset.
Which is not good.
And it forces me to do things that I find not enjoyable, but I do it. Gilgamesh, though, I wish that it wasn't gate locked or locked out so much by you need to beat Fort Condor. You need to beat.
Does he become a summon for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And his boss battle is I'd say the pinnacle of the game for me.
Oh, really?
The best point was the Gilgamesh boss battle.
Oh man, because I fought him once.
Yeah, there's some like spars you do with him before the end. His character, though, like when you get the proto relic and Cloud gets transported to like another realm, and you can just tell like Gilgamesh is this funny. Like at one point, he's like, "I'm in the privy." I'm like, "That's great. That's funny. I'll be back next time." And you just it slowly builds up this kind of buffoonish, powerful god character, which I'm all about.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
He tries to attack you at one point and he misses and almost falls over. Yeah. Like, oh, that's funny to me.
Yeah.
But that's what the proto relics are going to be. Secret boss Quetzalcoatl, summon Titan, blah, blah, blah. Another mini game is catching chocobos. This is fine. If they push it much further, I'd get annoyed.
They kind of do later.
Yeah. And
like the one where you have to make sure that the chocobo doesn't get hit by the spiky cactus.
So dumb.
It took a long time because you have to like guide them, but there's no precision to it. Oh, I hated it. I got mad.
And we have access to a ton of characters now. Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13. I don't think there's an elegant way to do this where they just drop all these characters. If you didn't play Remake, there's a lot to take in. Barrett's your ranged character. Overcharge builds up his ATB quickly. That's like his thing. And kind of like a long-range tank character. He's good at drawing aggro. He was not in my like main party, but he was one of my preferred characters.
My party was mostly Cloud, obviously, Kate Sith, and Barrett.
Okay.
Yeah. Kate Sith was kind of my go-to for like magic because he would crit a lot very quickly.
Very lucky. He's a very lucky cat.
So the stagger bar would immediately just blow up, usually. Like if I gave him enough MP and I boosted that. Otherwise, he's kind of just, he is weird. I love him.
He's a very weird character. But Barrett's great at least ranged combat, and switching back and forth is good to take some aggro. Tifa is the fastest character outside of Red 13. The only character that can switch to blocking in the middle of any attack, which is nice. And she also is the only character that can do staggered damage multiplication. So once an enemy is staggered, it can go times bigger damage they receive. She's the only one that can multiply damage. And with enough time on a staggered enemy, she can get it all the way up to 300% damage, which is great.
That's lovely.
It's like double. Yeah, she's essentially just a stagger machine.
Well, 300% is a triple.
Well, it starts off...
Just kidding.
No, it starts off at 160, though.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Just being a jerk.
Aerith. Did you like playing as Aerith?
I do.
Because I never enjoyed it. To me, I didn't understand her, why she was effective.
She can like teleport, essentially, once you get like the right... What are they called? The triangle.
Yeah, her unique ability, her Tempest.
Yeah, you can do some real fun shit with that.
Well, she can spawn a fleeting familiar that fires projectiles, and one of her biggest things is using wards. Yeah,
you can protect the party from some pretty rough attacks.
Well, and you can also like double cast magic. I don't know. She's just such a slow character, though.
She's difficult to use, but I found her difficult to use in the first one too. So
yeah,
I mean, how are you going to move around in that dress? She really needs a pair of pants.
Yeah, get some pants.
Yeah.
Well, or you just make her wear the swimsuit from that one from Costa del Sol all the time.
I would feel pervy doing shit like that.
I know. Me too.
That's why I don't do shit like that.
At the end of the game, you can make characters wear any outfits you want, and I will stand by Barrett in the sailor outfit.
I do like Barrett in the sailor outfit.
And Cloud's like Costa del Sol outfit is cool. The one with the blue shirt.
Yeah.
That one's okay. That's a cool shirt.
Yeah, with the shorts.
Yeah. Aerith, like arcane ward, spells in the area are cast twice at no additional ATB. Radiant ward.
That's great, by the way.
Radiant ward is invincibility to anyone casting a spell. You just can't get hurt. And Transcendence is the second cast deals heavy damage on a single target. Red 13, though, is the new character that we're getting introduced to. And
I love him.
The Vengeance mode seemed very difficult to comprehend for me.
Well, you just have to block a lot.
Yeah.
He is truly like kind of like a defender type character. So you just have to take the hits to build up the vengeance meter. And then, so he's like the Dark Knight of, like, you've played other Final Fantasies. The Dark Knight is usually about like expending HP, something costing you something, and then gaining that back through something else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this mixture of you're letting the HP bar go down, and then you activate vengeance mode, and if you have the right stuff equipped, you're basically sucking the life out of the other enemies.
Sounds like some Batman shit.
It's great.
The vengeance mode. Swear to me.
I mean, he does fuck with his voice.
Oh, Red 13, he's only at this point, I am the knight.
Yeah.
I am vengeance.
Never.
Rachel, it's me, Red.
Don't come. No. Don't.
He's the best at fighting multiple ground enemies, as his attacks cover a lot of space. And Siphon Fang during vengeance mode recovers HP for each hit. Essentially, though, when you get to the Grasslands, you're going to explore for a while, be overwhelmed, get a chocobo from Bill, get introduced to the other Choco kids, Choco Billy.
I could give so little bits of shit.
But it's got Billy and Chloe.
Their story is so moving.
I know you were affected by it. Yes. we're aimlessly wandering we find a group of hooded men, and Cloud just is like, they're following Sephiroth. We should follow these hooded men, which is going to be our primary motivation and like story driving is, where are the hooded men going? That's going to drive a lot of the game, surprisingly. We follow them towards the now abandoned Mithril mines and fight ourselves a Midgar Sormer.
Which is great. I love that fight.
Yeah.
Somehow they were able to retain that sense of like, oh shit, Sephiroth just like tossed this thing aside.
It happens a little differently in this, where it grabs Cloud and pulls him underwater. A swirling darkness forms near the surface, and Sephiroth appears and incapacitates the creature in one slice. It's still not Sephiroth. It's like cloudy Sephiroth. It's dreamy, weemy Sephiroth. And he's always dreamy, but this one's weemy as well.
Well, I mean, we'll get into that stuff too. I found Sephiroth appearing to be neither compelling or interesting, and mostly annoying. I shouldn't be annoyed by the villain.
Well, if less is more, and in this one, more is often.
More is less.
More is way less. But we're going to venture into the mines. Did appreciate that they designed the mines to kind of look like a tourist attraction at first, like all
like it,
like the
like
rails,
a national park.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I like that.
A robed figure drops during a collapse, and Barrett, the guy who doesn't have two arms, like, I'll climb down, and Red 13, the quadruped, is like, I'll climb down. Great, okay, whatever,
sure.
And this is then we run into Rude and Elena. Fine. I think the Turks are good.
They're fun.
They're fun.
You easily wipe the floor with them in comparison to Remake, when they were actually kind of a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, yeah, we kind of upgraded since then. I kind of like that they're easier now.
Yeah.
Because I found the fight with some of the Turks really annoying in Remake. I was like, well, fuck off. I can't even land a hit.
There's definitely a large number of people that just have Turks posters in their bedrooms, and they're like, the Turks are so cool. I'm so a fan. I would say so.
The SS officers of the Gestapo of fucking...
They're Gestapo with like a cool factor.
I mean... Reno was the only one that was severely affected by the events of what happened in Midgar, because a lot of people died.
I believe the voice actor for Reno passed away too, really? Which is why we barely see him at all in this game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on vacation. I'm like, what?
Yeah, he shows up at the end, but I feel like he barely says anything if he does.
But yeah, I like them. They're fine.
They are bad people though, because they throw a grenade at the robed figures, and you shouldn't attack people with mental disabilities
unless they're attacking you.
Yes. This is the Barrett section of the game where we shoot crystals.
You know what? I have a weird soft spot for this section. It's very like clear in my mind. I like when they take the characters away from the main party, and then force you to deal with them as a pair in combat. Like it's a really great way to like shadow tutorialize and get people familiar.
Yeah,
which in a lot of other times they would just make you go through little challenges, or it would all be in like the VR. And now, like, making that a conscious choice and forcing people like, hey, listen, we know that some people are probably just going to want to hack and slash their way through this. We want you to understand this is the way we want you to play the game. You got to be switching characters.
Yeah.
and getting familiar with them, because you have to, might make you add them to like your main squad just to try them out for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I tried Red a little bit in the Grasslands, and I was like, I don't get Vengeance mode. Mm-hmm. It's just a little weird, so I'm going to stick with Tifa and Barrett. And anytime you're forced to play as somebody else, it's a good decision. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Although I don't think that every character needs a shtick in their gameplay.
Well,
I can shoot those crystals with my gun. Sure. All right, Barrett, have fun. And then it's just really, they fucking bounce around in that Unreal Engine. They don't behave like real rocks is what I'm saying.
No, they obviously don't. But the issue I have with it is that you're not really solving puzzles. You're just removing obstacles.
Yeah.
And to me, like, exploration has to involve some sort of, like, it either has to be like a path puzzle where you're moving throughout the world and you're trying to figure out which path to take. That's its own level. Or you have a puzzle where you have to push something down to get over to do something else.
Yeah.
Those are puzzles.
With a lowercase p.
Yeah. But the obstacles where you just literally have to press a button and he just goes hog wild with his machine gun is a little like, I mean, it looks cool and the game is gorgeous. I don't know how it's going to hold up in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to have that kind of like tonal, like, I don't know, joie de vivre that the first one has.
It's tonally inconsistent sometimes, but those times that it is out of tone are wildly out of tone.
It's the new characters. Let's be clear.
Because generally, anytime Barrett does anything, he's probably my favorite character of the game. I think he's got the biggest story beats. I think he's got the biggest heart.
He's definitely the most interesting on an emotional level.
Yeah, because, revisiting his home, he's like, no one do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just someone that is like carrying so much sadness and hurt and not talking about it. And
self-prescribed torture. And
you see him and Cloud soften up and realize they're bros and homies at this point, and very into it. Red 13 is the one that I think could have used more character development during a lot of the story, because it's not until later on where all of a sudden they just plot dump him.
The final 25% of the game.
Yeah, because otherwise he's kind of just there. And the characters at least should, in passing, be like, so are you like a dog? Or like, are there other ones? Just any question, like, are there any other ones like you out there?
Yeah.
Questions that I think would come up that I would ask.
Well, I mean, if you've played the original game, obviously there's another one, unless they procreate like in like a self-sustained way, like they just generate more of them. But he mentions mother and father.
Yeah.
So,
and we know from way in the future that he does have kids at some point.
I would love to know what their race would be called.
I don't think they ever say.
They're talking quadrupeds, so
I don't know if they call them like just guardians or something like that, which I don't know if, I guess that is sufficient.
Well, it's so funny. He gets really upset when people call him a dog.
It's like,
but it's just like, why don't you tell us what you want to be called?
Yeah. Why don't you just start talking at them? Because if you start talking, they won't think you're a dog.
They will treat you like a person.
But then they also like throw him a steak, and he gets like,
I like that though.
Yeah.
I would do that though.
I would pet him.
Yeah.
But it would be weird if he's like, I don't like that. I'd be like, okay, that's really weird to me. I won't pet you then.
He does like getting pet, though.
Yes, I think you have to be on good terms.
Sure.
It's like when the Fellowship actually rides the eagles in Lord of the Rings. It's like they don't do that often. It's a big honor for them to ever let anyone jump on their backs.
Yeah.
Because they're not creatures of burden. Yeah. But you get through chapter 3, the party reunites, and then you're quickly into another big exploration area here in Junon.
Now, are we going to explain? You said we weren't going to explain all these beat by beat.
No, we don't need to at all.
Because it follows the same exact kind of
It's the same
roll around.
It's the same thing. Remnant Wave Towers, Divine Intels. Your chocobos will have unique abilities in each area.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Like they climb in Junon. In Cosmo Canyon, there's gliding mini games.
So they kind of fly, which is... The mini game sucks, but the actual mechanic is good.
Yeah.
Some of them jump off of mushrooms in Gungaga, which everybody on Reddit hates, but I thought it was fine.
I just think it kind of messed it. It's too much of a maze.
It's confusing. Maybe if the map just showed like an arrow after you did one.
Yeah.
After
it showed you where to go. Yeah.
That would be nice.
Then you could map out where you need to go. That'd be nice. Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
I think that would solve everyone's issues with Gungaga. Junon, yeah, you're going to go through the same shtick, though. The main thing, though, is Fort Condor is for the proto relics, and you actually get sucked into the game. I liked that part of the story. Sure,
I don't know
when Barrett and Tifa are looking at themselves,
and then they look like they did.
It's comedy.
It's fine.
It's cool.
Comedy is a really strong term.
You also, the captain for Fort Condor is actually Gilgamesh. It is the voice of Gilgamesh. And
really?
Yes. And he goes crazy and he winds up being the final boss in the Fort Condor game. Yeah, as far as Fort Condor, it looks kind of the same way it did in the PS1, but it's like super specific on how you get through things.
It's very much it.
Did you finish it?
No, absolutely not. I quit at that point.
Yeah.
I stopped trying to do most of the proto relic stuff unless it had something to do with combat. Because I collected 3 of how many again?
6.
Yeah,
5 or 6.
I mean, I'm halfway there. I could go back and do them.
You would just go to guide, go to Google, defeat easy, or it's one of those things too where a game is so new where you just have to go to YouTube to watch somebody beat it and just 1-to-1 copy them.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I don't need.
It is not satisfying.
I am not a gamer who needs to tick off little check marks. I just don't need that.
I'm finally at this stage of my life becoming that person, and it makes me happy.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm like, when I see a collectible in a game now, it makes me upset, and it's like, fuck you and your busy work. If it was fun, that's one thing. In Assassin's Creed games, I will go to the top of every tower.
Sure.
But then when it gives me a list of things that require exploring, I was like, oh, pass.
I'll chase down sea shanties, but that's an actual reward.
That's a big reward. Yeah. But it is such busy work chasing out papers. If there was, I don't know, there's like a sweet spot where you can have collectibles be fun to go collect and then rewarding in the end.
If collectibles don't operate as currency, like the Moogle medals, I don't want to I don't want to chase them down because they're not going to give me any benefit.
At least with Moogle medals, I'd never had to go out of my way. I usually had enough Moogle medals at any point to just buy what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The skill books, essentially.
The second Gilgamesh scene, this is when he attacks you and misses and yells retreat. There's the Phoenix is the summon you get here. We do get introduced to a new mini game at the Crow's Nest. We get introduced to the piano.
I like the piano.
I like goofing off on it, but the actual playing all of the songs, which I'm guessing you didn't play all of the songs and get rankings.
Not every single one.
Because they suck. This is, as someone who loves loves rhythm games, very not intuitive, and if you're playing it right, it sounds bad.
Yeah.
Which it's like a Parappa the Rappa school of rhythm game where if you're hitting it and getting it perfect, he sounds staggered and doesn't flow. And this one, I hate it when you have to, the timing system is bad. I found out that if you crank up the speed, they give you more time to like hit things. So turning the speed up to like 4 out of 5, or even if you want to go 5 is better. But when there's like 3 piano notes and it's just one, you hit it one time with your thumbstick. Also the thumbstick system, I didn't like any of that.
It doesn't quite work, although I found this to be the most entertaining of these little side ventures because really did it. You made a little rhythm game in this, and it felt a little more, because I like rhythm games as well. And I've been crushing Beat Saber, but I don't know. It's perfunctory.
Beat Saber's good.
Beat Saber rules.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's fucking awesome.
It gives you an actual workout.
Yeah, and it feels so cool, but it doesn't look cool from the outside.
No, if you're just sitting there watching someone do it, you're like, you look like an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah.
This will make a funny YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll film this and send this to...
Nothing like me playing Iron Man VR in my bathrobe. I'm probably making those sounds too.
At least Beat Saber kind of makes it look like you're dancing.
It looks like
you do it smoothly.
Yeah.
And you kind of bop with the beat a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck yeah. Under Junon, it looks great. It looks fine.
Yeah. It's more fleshed out.
Yeah.
As is everything.
The bar is Fisherman's Net. Seems like an okay bar right by the beach. The planet's essence is Shinra's premier wine, and there's also a chocobo vineyards. But essentially, the mayor greets you on the way into town. It's like, yeah, you're definitely the terrorist people are looking for.
Yeah. I mean,
a giant black dude with a gun for an arm. A lady in a short mini skirt with long black hair.
Yeah.
And a dude with a sword that looks like it's 400 pounds.
With crazy hair he has to style every 5 minutes.
Not to mention a talking dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are the most obvious fuckers ever.
It's very funny that most people don't give a shit. Like, they treat Shinra kind of like nobody really wants to narc on these guys because it's just like, well, we hate these fuckers too. Look what they did to our entire economy.
Oh, it comes down to a propaganda machine. They're like trying to push Avalanche as the bad guys, but everybody outside of Midgard's like, yeah, I think Shinra's probably the bad guy.
Well, they took away our entire
economy
production. Well, it's not just economy. It's just like you go to Under Junon and they're just like, yeah, they built a giant cannon above our fucking town.
And they got all of the good stuff up there. I mean, yeah. Everyone, you can see that too when you're going through Junon. Everyone's like, yeah, shit used to be a lot better here. It's gotten bad.
I bet it was a nice little hamlet.
Yeah. Spot down by the water. There's dolphins. You can go for a dolphin ride, which we do.
I like the dolphin.
Yeah.
What's the dolphin's name again?
Fuck if I know. I don't remember.
They call it Mr. Dolphin, I think.
I think it is just Mr. Dolphin.
Dolphin-san?
We hear a cry, and Yuffie is seen on a rowboat being terrorized by a monster in the water. You fight the terror of the deep, and there's a brief moment where Cloud is about to give CPR to Yuffie. Thank God they didn't make this into a minigame like they did in the PS1. But yes, you wake up in a hotel. You overhear Aerith and Red talking about not being able to remember something, but they quiet as you approach. Cloud apologizes for not believing Tifa before, and then she's like, "Yeah, we should talk about Nibelheim." Like, it's like, no. But the next morning, Yuffie explains she's a Wutai government operative and a self-proclaimed materia hunter, 16 years old. They hire him young. I guess that's most countries. She says Mayor Rhonda offered a contract to assassinate Rufus Shinra and she wants your help. And then we hear someone with a motorcycle outside. And for a brief moment, the world is good again.
I'm just like, I remember turning to my wife and going, it's my guy. He's here.
He's back.
He's back.
Come on out, buddy. I'm like,
oh, yeah. I love him.
And they're like, who's that? He's like, a friend.
The best addition. If they're going to make side characters, why not give me more of this shit?
Dude, just a horny dude on a motorcycle who wants to challenge you all the time.
All he cares about is his motorcycle.
And he does the stupidest shit on that motorcycle that shouldn't be possible. He walks. He uses it like the way people parkour.
Yeah.
Yes, you head out there. But you don't actually fight him here. He says he'll meet you up top, and Mayor Rhonda's like, yeah, here's your share of the bounty. Here's like 5,000 gil. I'm like, I don't need your fucking money, but whatever.
You can keep it. 5,000 though, it's just like, okay. By that point, I've got like over 100,000 in the bank.
Did you do there's 2 mini games that are tied to great music in Junon. Now, did you do the Kyrie one?
What does that involve?
Well, you have to fight like some white.
Oh, yeah. I did that.
So I'm going to just play the song here. It's almost annoying.
It is annoying.
You don't think it's catchy as shit, though? Oh, I find it so catchy.
It's just like a fucking JoJo Siwa level of idiocy.
It's weird that they just go so far into pop music, or like, I think successfully. It's a pop song.
Well, it's well instrumented. I don't like that voice.
Heard.
It's Sonic Cancer.
And then there's one other song.
Is that Kyrie singing?
Yeah.
I just don't like anything about her.
That's the only thing I like about her was that song. And then there is another song. It's when you have to escort a dog, and he has his own theme song.
I love that song. I love that song. This feels like it would be in Katamari.
Yeah, super Katamari.
It's very Katamari. A lot of dog symbolism in this game.
It's almost like it's the only way they know how to show multiple universes.
Well, they're not multiple universes, they're multiple worlds. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I had to call those 2 songs out. They're great.
Yeah.
We're going topside. I will call out mini games as we go, though. Dolphin racing mini game.
I like it.
Jet Moto.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
This one...
Wave Race?
Yeah, Wave Race. This one, I think, stands on its own 2 feet. It could be like $10, if they expanded a little bit, like a $10 arcade game.
Honestly, I thought it controlled very well.
It controlled well. And if they had just a little more depth to it, sure.
I'm not sure why they introduced this one, but they made chocobo racing so prominent, because if they just did like challenge courses with the dolphin,
yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I liked Mr. Dolphin, and then the other mini game that's down here is the one where these kids found this area that turns them into frogs. I was like, cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and you go in there, and then you have to
figure it out.
You have to fight as frogs. Like anytime you're forced to fight as a frog is cool enough, because it's usually you're fighting what is a easier enemy, but it becomes a challenge. Mm-hmm. And then there's the I would only describe it as like a fusion frenzy game, where the frogs have to like jump over rotating parts of this platform. I like that. The frog designs are great too. The fact that you can like see everyone and know who they are.
Yeah. They're wearing skirts and shit.
On the scale of the mini games, these are better. Mm-hmm. Now we get topside. We do get introduced to Glenn Lodbrok. Dylan, do you want to read Glenn Lodbrok's description?
He originally appeared as a supporting character in the Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier mobile game.
10 out of 10. Such a great game.
I hear people liked it.
I played it for an hour one day, and it was not good. It was fine for a free mobile game. Because I'm like, oh, I that looks like a character from Final Fantasy. I'm happy.
Fought alongside Sephiroth on his first mission on the Rador Archipelago. Sephiroth massacres a village thinking it was the right thing to do, and Glenn gives the boy a hug and tries to guide him. Glenn defects, and he starts making some back-end deals with people in other countries. They led the coup in Wutai, put Godo under house arrest. He became one of the leaders of the interim government under Viceroy Seraph. but was shot in the back by Rufus and left for dead.
Now, you remember all of this from The First Soldier.
Oh, absolutely.
Apparently, Glenn...
Fresh in my mind.
Apparently, Glenn Lodbrok and Sephiroth hung out on the battlefield. He tried to guide Sephiroth, who was being forced to be a bad boy.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Viceroy Saruf is now leading the interim government ran by foreigners. Think America in any number of 100 countries around the planet.
Sure.
Yep. We're supporting this revolution, and now this person's in charge. And Saruf, spoiler warning, Rufus backwards.
Oh, my God.
You do the math. It's a puppet government. Glenn is dead, though, so that's not Glenn. But we see Glenn appear with Rufus.
I don't like any of this.
Upper Junon, there's going to be a parade, and we dress up as soldiers. I think this scene is cute when they do a lot with Tifa and Aerith being kind of a team working together to mess with Cloud.
They also let them kind of be girls and just, let them hang out.
Yeah.
They're really the only ones who relate to each other as friends.
And then Cloud and Barrett have some friends going on. Red 13 never is too close with anybody.
No.
Kate Sith people just put up with. But, they have a good chemistry, Aerith and Tifa. And I do like, in one of the interviews I saw, Kazushige Nojima was saying, for some reason, everyone thought that they didn't like each other in the PS1. So I wanted to push more scenes of them just kind of being girls together.
That they're not just fighting over a boy.
Which is just really great writing for a woman, right? Like, that's their whole character.
I love it. Bechdel test failing all the way to the mountaintop.
What's the Bechdel test? We were just talking about
the Bechdel test is where two women in a piece of media are talking to each other, but they also have to be talking about something other than a male character. So, if they're hanging out and they're just talking about the type of clothes they like or how hard their day was, and they were just talking, and that's all you have to do to pass it. And so many movies can't even do it.
Are their characters defined by men, or are they defined by themselves?
Kind of, yeah.
Bit,
yeah. And that's based off of a comic book, from a zine from the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know
named
why.
After the author.
Someone was just talking about that the other day. I don't know if it was you. Maybe. It's probably really, since you brought it up.
It is honestly a really easy test to pass. It's really simple. You just have to have two female characters be like...
It's easy to pass, but so many pieces of media fail.
Yeah. It's just how do you think Cloud's... How do you think Cloud's
Just because you're Doctor Strange doesn't mean that I don't have my own personality. Why is it always about you, Strange? And then it's always about him.
It is always about Strange.
I don't know. It's too many characters have a case of the not gays where they just need to throw in a female character without a personality to have an interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and then
Star Wars is very guilty of that, where it's this. This is Oscar Isaac. This is a girl he used to be with in Rise of Skywalker.
Just to make sure.
Well, and the character is also just Finn 2.0, another defected trooper.
We don't want you to get confused. He gave him his jacket and said it looked better on him. And complimenting a man,
dude. If they would have made those two guys have a relationship, I would have
been all the way.
I would have been so excited.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
But it's also I didn't read anything. I didn't read any what the kids call riz between them.
Oh.
I didn't read any spark of that level of chemistry. I think Finn was just he's kind of he saw him as an older brother and was
he's a cool guy. He idolizes
cool older
him.
guy. Yeah. And he's just whoa, I can be a part of this. And he's being so welcoming.
I see Oscar Isaac. I'm I look up to you, dude.
Yeah. I'd be nervous.
And if he gave me a jacket and said it looks better on me, you know how much ego I would gain from that?
Yeah. It's really? I'll wear it all the time.
Even if it doesn't fit and I'm drowning in it or something.
You're just checking your reflections in the side of cars. You're just yeah, check that out.
Look good. We get to recruit soldiers here for a parade. Mm-hmm. Essentially, this is just go explore the minigame.
I fucking nailed that parade. I don't know how I did, but I fucking got it. I just kind of knew what to do.
It's just wall market again. It's the dancing minigame. There are... Yeah. It's a little obtuse. I hate the way that the inputs dance around things and flow in and out.
That's why I was really bad at the Honeybee Inn.
Yeah, and I think that actually just really undercut how cool the animations were in that whole scene. I'd like to just watch Cloud do the dance because it was like lavish and fun and like choreographed, and instead I'm just watching for an X.
Well, so I learned pretty late while doing it that there's a kind of aura around him and it shrinks. Yeah. And then when it hits that's when you do it. Don't follow the lines on the screen. Just look at the light slowly fading away and then hit it. And then that's actually how it works. But there's really no rhyme or reason, and you can practice, but it's not going to matter. You're either kind of supernaturally good at it or you're going to kind of fail.
I unfortunately didn't write down the name of the bar from Junon.
It's okay.
Here, but I do remember it is the bar where only bald guys are allowed in. Bald people are allowed in, and they call you like Shaggy or Mop Top.
Yeah,
and that was the bar there.
That's fun.
All of a sudden, during the parade, you switch over to Yuffie, and you are in a straight up assassination mission.
Wild.
Where you are zooming in on someone's skull. Granted, she's throwing a shuriken.
But really dumb mechanic, by the way. You don't even have to try.
Yeah.
It's literally just like, this could have been a cutscene. I don't need to be doing this.
It is effective, though, at making you feel like the shooter on the grassy knoll or whatever.
Sure.
And I don't know. I like anytime you play as Yuffie, I generally am really into her gameplay style. Also her exploration.
Yeah. Her exploration is really good.
The ninja stuff, but she's about to assassinate. You escape with your recruits. I like the scene where it's Cloud with his group of the Shinra 7th Infantry. Mm-hmm. I like all of them.
Yeah.
Yep. And you do fight Roche, who has set up a lavish fight in this big pit around all these other dudes. And sign me up.
He's such an easy fight, though. Like, I was kind of like, is he going to do something wild?
He was tougher in Remake.
Oh, much more difficult.
Because if you didn't have parrying and countering mastered, you were fucked. He's not too bad in this. God, he's just so horny. Roche is so funny to me.
He wants to fuck that motorcycle, and I bet he did.
He just wants to fuck everything.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very fuckable, I gotta say. Wow, that dude.
The mullet works on him. He's got like that cat-like kind of face where everything's kind of angular.
I don't like that he's just becoming another Sephiroth. Hopefully, what if he retains Roshness while being Sephiroth and he just becomes horny Sephiroth?
I think that this is the conclusion of the Roche story.
Guaranteed no. Roche is in the next game. Hopefully there's a whole quest where you get to save him. And maybe he's like lost and you bring him his motorcycle and you have to take him on a ride. And then he remembers.
It's true what they said. The end is yet to be written or whatever.
What if the whole next game is about like finding Roche and it's about bringing him back and it's not about action. It's about love.
I like it.
I'm in.
I mean, that's got to be one of the quote unquote universes.
Instead, we're going to get that as a novelization.
You know that meme of Wolverine like looking at the picture?
Yeah.
It's just Roche looking at a picture of Cloud.
Or a motorcycle.
Yeah.
There's two buttons. He's the guy, and one of them's Cloud, and one's a motorcycle. It's like, oh, God.
He's just going vroom, 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 vroom.
Yeah, you escape to the cruise ship, and that brings us into Chapter 5. We are now on the Blood in the Water on board the Shinra 8. And of course, Madame M and Andrea are there.
Why? Who knows?
We can't just have new characters. We can't just
Everyone's going on vacation. You know, one of the things that didn't really stick the landing for me in this whole entire part is how Shinra kind of wants them to go away and fuck off and die, but also doesn't really go after them that hard.
They generally know where Cloud and the party are all the time.
It's weird because at a point, he's just like, if you just give up all this nonsense of fighting like Shinra, I'll let you guys go. And then after the assassination attempt, he's like, all right, well, we're going to really come after you. And I'm like, you didn't. There was a whole thing in Midgar.
Yeah. He offers, like, if you agree to go after Sephiroth, we will let you go and stay out of your way. And they're about to come to a deal.
And then Yuffie fucks it up.
Yeah. At that ceremony, too, Rufus decides to shoot the cannon, which is just aggravating a war with Wutai, although they are also in control of Wutai. So essentially, he's just trying to sow, like, Palpatine discord. Fucking wars are good for the economy or good for their plans.
Well, it's very American.
It's very American.
And you can kind of tell. It's kind of like with Miyazaki, how Howl's Moving Castle was his allegory for the Iraq War.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even read that way.
I love when he won't show up to an award ceremony. He's like, I'm not here out of protest for the war going on. I'm like, thank God somebody has standards still.
I love that, man.
Yeah. Somebody says free Palestine and they get kicked out of a franchise of Scream 7, whatever. But
who was that? Like Jenna Ortega or what?
No, it was one of the other. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie, but she said something about Free Palestine at like an award show, and she's just been ostracized from Hollywood now.
Well, we don't get hyper political on this, but I think every human being with a soul can kind of agree that I don't think anyone should be fucking dying, much less civilians.
The problem is the Holy Land and how badly people want it and are willing to kill for it.
Well, they want Armageddon. They want the world to end. So, you know.
Speaking of Glenn Lodbrok, there is a Queen's Blood Invitational.
This part of the game, I'm just like, oh, fuck off.
At this point, I still like Queen's Blood. This whole chapter is the Queen's Blood Invitational, and then battles in the ship. We get introduced to Regina here, and apart from the bad hairstyle, she's also just not interesting.
No,
she just talks a big game, and then after you win the tournament, somebody shows up as a surprise final guest, and it's Red 13 in a Michael Jackson scene. And one thing this game does well is lean into absurd comedy.
I didn't win the tournament, but I still got that.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I think it means that they were so pumped on Red 13 breakdancing that they couldn't not put it in.
My wife.
Anytime you think like, oh, there's no way they could do Red 13 riding a chocobo in Rebirth, and they're like, no, we're going to do it as dumb as we can. I'm so into that. Like,
so I'm sitting on the couch in my underwear. I'm painting a picture for you, and this part is going on.
Erection.
Jordan walks in. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know." And I'm just staring blankly. I'm like, I think I like it, but
I think it's good.
I think it's good. I don't hate it. It's much. I love the humor that they give Red 13, not as like a character speaking and providing that sense of humor, but like even him like riding on the chocobos. That's insane.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, his tail's on fire. He's gonna light those guys on fire.
Is the fire hot? It's got to be, right?
Maybe he can control the temperature.
If he goes underwater, does it stay lit? Or does it just back up as soon as you get out of water?
Well, we have yet to see that. No, he does swim.
I need to look again. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. There are dead figures on their hooded creatures and fiends all of a sudden on the ship.
And monsters are going wild, much like every Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. At one point, all of the dead hooded figures revive and merge together into a new creature from which Sephiroth appears and gives a speech before he introduces Jenova, one of our only Jenova fights, surprisingly, in the game.
There's two?
Yeah, I believe it's only two, and they're very sparse with Jenova in this game, unlike Sephiroth. But yeah, Yuffie is on the ship with the hooded figures, and that's pretty much the cruise ship. Chapter 6 brings us into Costa Del Sol.
I liked.
Oddly
enough.
I think it's very well designed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anytime a character in a game's like, can we just hang out and relax for a while? It's usually one of the highlights of the game for me.
It's like the Citadel DLC in Mass Effect. It's like sometimes you just want the character interactions.
Just let the characters just breathe.
Johnny's there, though. I hate him. I really don't like Johnny.
It's just Tifa dated a dude once, and he's just kind of a thorn.
Yeah.
Means well. Total donk.
She went on one date. I wouldn't call it dating.
Well, that was the highlight of his life.
I mean, it might be mine.
I like what they do with Johnny in this game, though. We get introduced to another...
I hate the multiple Johnnies.
We get introduced to another mayor, because every town's got a mayor that needs to be a character, Mayor Capono. He greets you and you get laid with a lay, and we get introduced to segways, wheelies.
I like them.
They're dumb. They're actually fast. They're much faster than running through the city.
Yeah.
I think they made the city just long enough to where you want to get on it.
That's a good design element.
Johnny owns a hotel that is struggling. It's the only available spot, so you stay there. They
gave it to him out of pity.
Honestly, everyone's like, wow, look at this stump. And I'm like, it's got mattresses and a roof, and you're in Costa del Sol. This is awesome.
I'm like, it's a little hidden, but you got some nice views.
He's got running water for a shower. I'm like, this is totally good.
Yeah.
I would be pumped to stay there for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. There's not boutique soap and a piano.
Ooh.
I thought we were on vacation. Yeah. Johnny's Seaside Inn. They make a major plot point.
Famously, you don't bathe on vacation.
Well, they make a big plot point. Aerith and Tifa have to take showers.
Yeah. They do.
Someone wrote that explicitly and underlined it 3 times.
There's also Aerith talking to someone.
Oh, my God.
Who could it be? Glenn Lodbrok?
I think it's got to be Glenn Lodbrok. He is the key to the FFCU, the 7CU.
They could have used more of an explainer of him for people who don't play this bullshit.
Anything.
Please. Show me a flashback.
Is there going to be a sequence where we see Saruf and then a character squints and then the letters dance around to spell Rufus?
And he just goes, oh, man.
Oh, God, guys, wait. Jeez. We are forced to participate in an event where you need to partner up with people to unlock outfits because you're not allowed to go to the beach without an outfit. And so it's just mini game time. Pirates Rampage, good mini game.
I like it.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It plays well. It's innocuous. It's fun.
I like it.
It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, it's actually decently fun. I ended up playing a few more rounds just to like see what my high score could be.
I give it a great edition ranking, which I don't give to many.
I'll give it a B.
Yeah. Queen's Blood Card Carnival with Regina.
No thanks.
This is the one where you have specific challenges.
You just got done doing a whole thing.
God, I hate it. These are puzzles rather than a match.
Oh, I beat those really easy though.
The later ones get very tricky.
Yeah, but there is a way to do it pretty quickly in those early. Like I like the puzzly ones. I think those are kind of cool.
Yeah,
but otherwise I wouldn't have fucking done it.
Yeah. Fuck me though for needing to beat things and like needing to get check. I need check marks, Dylan. Dylan, I need a little check mark.
Who are you proving to?
I want the game to say I did good.
You want it to give you a pat on the back? They haven't invented that peripheral yet.
They. Well, they can almost get a pat on the head with the new VR, with a little sensory feedback.
Oh, God, it's great.
It sounds scary in a Resident Evil game, though.
Oh, yeah, when they're really going to town and like trying to rip out your throat.
I would play the fuck out of Village in VR.
You got to come over and play it soon.
I do.
It's good.
Eventually, you'll let me borrow it, like I borrowed mine to you.
Absolutely.
Down the line, I want you to get all of your time with it.
Well, the good thing about this one, you don't need those shitty PlayStation Move controllers, and you don't need a camera on your TV.
Those controllers, I need.
It's plug and play.
We'll talk about this another time. I really want to pick your mind on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cloud changes his outfit, and you meet Barrett on the beach. At this point, you also need to choose. Wait, no, you don't choose yet for Tifa and Aerith. Barrett's on the beach, and the robe guys, granted, are maybe killing someone's vacation vibes, but people are picking on them for not dressing like them. And Barrett's like, leave them alone. The fucking whatever, dude. They're people.
Yeah.
And goddamn it, Barrett, I like you more and more every time you talk.
I know.
Just standing up. Aerith is talking with Red 13 about a materia of hers losing color. Ugh. Red 13 explains that the materia being formed from the life stream, it's infused with knowledge and memories, and therefore the whispers are stripping Aerith of her memories, and that's the root cause of her materia losing the color. Which is... Dylan, are you okay?
No. It is...
We had enough story in the first game. You don't need to make another story.
It is so stupid to somehow make what could be... Like if this were the main element in what was happening, if this weren't one of 3 billion other things that were somehow important to happen, and then you have like all these separate worlds competing, and then there are aspects of it where in this world the materia is really good, but in this one it lost its color. It's like, who cares?
Well, that's because of the whispers, Dylan.
And
that's why she has to travel to another universe to get a material that didn't lose its color, and then she gives it to Zach to take to another universe where he gives it to Cloud. How can this be any simpler, Dylan?
It's so good.
Yeah, it's just like so much of the game is fun, silly exploration, straightforward story, and then we also have to just pigeonhole little sections of explaining the overthinking, gross, stupid, big additions that they're making.
Well, you don't, from a moment to moment basis, you don't quite know what the status of any of this shit is. Because they're they're like clues like rainbows or like
chip bags.
Yeah. And
what if there was a mystery flavored Dorito chip bag that just showed up in the universe? Would you be excited then?
Well, I can't eat it, so no.
You'd be more upset.
Listen, I love my trash food, and the fact that I can't have this trash really upsets me.
Check out our McDonald's lore episode. You'll know how much we love trash food.
And it's not even that I like McDonald's.
What's the pirate's name?
The pirate?
In McDonald's?
Oh, Jesus, I forget.
I forget, too. Filet-O-Fish.
Captain
Crook?
Captain Crook, yeah.
Sure.
That's it.
But you have to play as Tifa and Aerith then, who need to get their own companion cards. There's another mini game, Run Wild, which is known as Rocket League with Red 13.
It's not horrible.
Mostly annoying, but not horrible.
Annoying. It's not horrible.
C. We meet Jenny, who is jealous of Tifa's prior relationship with Johnny. Now, this I could tell you were really into this part of the story.
Yeah.
You were tasked with returning...
What rich lives they live.
You had to return wheelies to a charge zone. I mean, if there's anything I want to play in my fantasy video game, it's the guy who returns lime scooters to where they charge.
I like that it gave me a bit more of an innate knowledge of the mapping of the town, but otherwise I couldn't have given 5 shits.
And then there's Cactar Caper, where you have to take pictures of hidden cactars around town.
It's fine.
Whatever.
I like search and finds. I kind of like them.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool. It really forces you to kind of look at your surroundings. I love shit like that. So it worked.
Tifa must play piano for Madame M and Andrea then in the hotel. Fine. Just because I like playing the piano enough. And then you have to choose swimsuits for Tifa and Aerith. And the swimsuits you choose, if it matches up with the taste from Cloud's swimsuit, it affects your relationships.
Yeah, I knew that.
Very good gameplay.
I chose the more conservative swimsuits because I just felt gross about dressing up these women.
Naturally.
Yeah. I was like, they're not getting a choice.
Why don't they choose?
I also, the weird thing here.
A man choose. It feels weird as a man choosing an outfit for a woman.
For me, these characters are pretty rich, and I don't like seeing them as sex objects.
They're rich, multifaceted, well-written characters, and all of a sudden they get to a point where how skimpy do you want to make them be?
Yeah, it kind of goes against my thoughts about them.
Yeah.
So I chose the most conservative. So basically, everyone was pretty conservative in their choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could put Barrett in a thong, I would.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hojo is a major Mac Daddy on the beach. For some reason, Hojo's on the beach in his full suit, and there's going to be a boss battle with a grass patrol prod. I do like any time that they take a giant machine and give it like the aspects of a bug or a crustacean or any of that. I think that's a cool design choice.
It's nice.
But Yuffie joins the battle, and she makes multiple Johnnies with her ninja abilities, which seems like a pretty weird, crazy power to be able to make multiple clones that can live on without you as long as they want.
Yeah.
That's just like, who gave Yuffie godlike powers?
It's some Naruto bullshit.
They all have a little leaf on their head, though, so you know that they're fake Johnnies.
Great. Yeah.
Great. Yuffie forces herself into the party, and Yuffie is probably my favorite character to play as.
I like Yuffie.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be my favorite, but
her elemental ninjutsu is very OP. Mm-hmm. You take your shuriken, you can give it any element you want, and it can just stay out for like 20 hits or longer, depending on what weapon you're using. And besides that, you can do other stuff while that's attacking. Mm-hmm. She has the ability to jump to the shuriken, so she can travel pretty much anywhere around the battlefield pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wound up using Yuffie all the time, pretty much. And yeah, that's Costa del Sol. I think that was one of the more fun chapters in the game. But we do have the area, the coral region, which is actually broken up outside of Costa del Sol and outside of
Smart
the Gold
choice.
Saucer. It's two very different. I mean, one's a giant desert and one is tropical paradise.
But keeping them within the same frame, was a smart choice.
The dichotomy between the two, the disparity.
Right.
Our favorite bodybuilders are on a vacation. Tifa can do sit-up challenges.
I think they're not crunches. It's
crunches. It's a crunch off is what it's called.
I thought it was just thigh exercises.
Well, she does the sit-ups and she does there's a couple different ones that she winds up doing.
It's I found this to be really easy, and a lot of people had trouble with this.
It's the harder ones. The first ones are easy, but then if you want to do the challenge ones after that, I did it fairly quickly as well. But I know a lot of people did complain.
You just have to be in beat, essentially.
For some reason, there's a zip line mechanic in this area. Fine. You can put your chocobo in like a little Hawaiian shirt. That's fine.
I like that look. I like the look.
I like it. We didn't mention that every time you go to a chocobo stop, you get chocobo points, and you can buy outfits for your chocobos.
Mm-hmm. There's some cool ones.
Yeah, harmless customization.
Perfect.
I'm a fan.
I mean, that works for me, personally.
We're going hiking in Mount Coral because the gondola is broken. And for some reason, Aerith has now decided she's tired. And she's like, I've never gone on a big hike before. I'm like,
bitch, you walked across half the continent.
I'm like, we just did a lot of walking. But yeah, that's just like the little shtick they're doing here. Yuffie and Barrett had ahead of the group. Mm-hmm. And I like their back and forth.
Sure.
Yuffie's the overexcited little kid, and Barrett's kind of like a older brother picking on her.
Dad, kind of shitty
Uncle.
dad, but like, yeah.
Yeah. I like anytime those two are talking, it's usually pretty funny. They start off like kind of always picking on each other. And then when she stands up for Barrett outside of the village, like no one talks to him like that. Like it's good writing.
Yeah.
I like all of that stuff quite a bit. Elena and Rude arrive. You fight a custom Valkyrie. We go back to the Shinra building where Rufus is giving a presentation on the Magnus Materia, because they're not just called the huge materia, they're the Magnus Materia. Yes, the weapons contain a huge materia orb, so Shinra wants to capture and dissect them. Scarlet objects as they are on the cusp of producing their own materia. I feel like that's something added in this game where Scarlet, or like in this, the remake and Rebirth, where Scarlet's wanting to make her own materia instead of whatever. Mm-hmm. Sure. Reeve challenges Rufus about the Neo Midgar project, but is shut down. And Rufus claims that Shinra has changed and demands everybody's utmost loyalty before leaving. I don't know. It's a cutaway. It's mostly about describing the weapons and the Magnus materia. Mm-hmm. I don't like that the weapons all look the same so far in this, because we see a few different ones and they all are identical.
It did confuse me.
I liked the designs of Ruby and Ultima and
Ruby Sapphire. And
yeah, all of them I liked a lot.
Emerald weapon.
I hope that they still have unique designs when we get to them later on.
They will.
Yeah. And they just have a giant materia in their chest, which is like very obvious.
They could have given them a different name. They're called weapons, but they're just whales. They're the Tulkun from fucking goddamn Avatar: The Way of Water.
Okay. Yeah. But they are also summoned by the planet when there is great danger.
A little more explanation about these big whales.
Yeah.
Would have been nice.
We see in the Coral Mako reactor, it is destroyed. The Mako reactor there, Barrett gets very quiet here. And we do see a weapon do a whale jump out of the water. And Yuffie gets very excited about the materia. Barrett says if they're actually here, then there is a really big problem for the planet. We go through the mines. Robed figures are just jumping off the tracks, and Cloud almost follows them. And they're like, I think Cloud should just sit down for a bit before he commits suicide. Like I mentioned before, I do like this section a lot, playing as Yuffie. And
I like the swinging around. It's good. And some of them are actually technically puzzles. You have to pay attention.
Kudos.
Works for me.
Yeah, not a simple press X once. We get introduced to Cloud Jr. I don't know why, but the Final Fantasy games, they'd like to put little birds on top of black dudes' heads. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that it happens a couple times in a few different games.
Could have been a nod to themselves. I really
Do you think
know.
It's like a reference to, is it?
It's definitely it's
13? Yeah.
It's self-referential, but I also think that Barrett's also an interesting character to have. Cloud Jr. I love Cloud Jr., by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how everyone's teasing him. I'm like, these are like my friends.
It's like, I see it. And they like see Cloud next to it and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I like how very quickly Barrett takes on a motherly aspect towards any little creature. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually you get it back to its mom.
Yeah. One of the only mini games I was invested in, protecting Cloud Jr. I'm like, I can deal with this.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing that.
I can deal with that. There is a silly mini game where you have to set the cart route. The route to decide if it goes to the dangerous one to scare Yuffie or excite Barrett.
I scared Yuffie.
I didn't want to scare Yuffie too much. I thought that was cruel. If somebody's like, why would you just send them on this?
She's also been kind of a brat.
She is a brat.
I was like, you got to get scared straight.
It's time for you to have a come to Jesus moment. And we're going to be getting to North Coral, but we're going to save that for the next episode.
Sure thing.
And part 3 by Hell or High Water is the final episode of Rebirth. Don't worry.
It better be.
Don't worry.
Because I'm telling you, I've got a lot of thoughts on like the whole kit and caboodle.
And we're getting to the fucking stupid stuff soon.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. If you want access to part 3 right away, you can check out patreon.com/hairofthedogcast. There's a free trial, so even just check that out. And we support people just using the free trial if they want to get if you want to get an episode and just check it out. There's a lot of really great perks though. And yeah, if you're curious, check it out. Special thanks to executive producers Ryan Christianick, Kipper, Brian Ward, Jordan Hoff, Phil Wright, Phil Just Phil, Cole Gardno, Bryant Ross, Kelly Gutowski, and Justin Melly. We appreciate all of your support. And yeah, we'll be back to put this chocobo to bed.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.